Hello, this is Rachel Cipriano coming to you again for Magnificent Resilience. And what has inspired this video today is actually something that occurred that's very sad in our personal circle of friends. And essentially, one of my husband's friends, his son, had been addicted to heroin for a number of years and sadly lost his battle, lost his life a couple of days ago. So I wanted to touch on this very touchy subject of addiction. And many of you may know that my brother Sean lost his life. He took his life in the year 2000, and it certainly had a lot to do with his problems with addiction. I did study this topic very extensively. My master's degree is in addictions counseling. And I had a lot to deal with in terms of what it was like to grow up with a father who was an alcoholic. And this was an intergenerational problem. So I just want to talk about it. It's important to understand while alcohol and drug addiction are some of the most serious forms of addictions, obviously we know that there are a host of others too. There's smoking that takes so many lives. The person may last longer, but both my parents were smokers and they both lost their lives prematurely to small cell lung cancer. 95% of the people who get small cell lung cancer were smokers, and early detection doesn't make a whole lot of difference with small cell lung cancer because it's extremely aggressive. And then you can also talk about emphysema and blood clots and all kinds of very deadly effects of smoking. Then we have behavior addictions. What happens to the person who is a workaholic? They just work themselves to death. In many cases, they sacrifice their families and other opportunities for personal relationships because they are trying to get their sense of self-esteem and identity through their achievements at work. And it can be very compulsive. Very difficult for them to stop, even if they realize it's destroying those people around them. We can also talk about relationship addiction, people who have a cycle of entering poor, destructive relationships. I will be candid with you, I have had that in my history. Both of my parents had struggled in those areas, and that is something, while I was able to dodge some bullets, that was not one I was able to dodge. I'm happy to tell you I'm married and have a wonderful family today, but that was not always the case. I spent several years struggling with poor relationship choices. Also, there are thought addictions. Many people who struggle with anxiety and depression, which I also have had to deal with, have very serious problems with obsessive type thinking. And that's incredibly destructive because what we now know more and more every day from physics and so forth is words and our thoughts are extremely powerful, and they will produce consequences. If our minds are conditioned to be negative, trust me, it's going to produce all kinds of negative results. And conversely, when we learn to think more positively, it's amazing how our perspectives can change. And that's a lot more difficult to change than many realize, because when we are young and impressionable, we're kind of like Play-Doh with the lid on. We're very soft and malleable. We're creating neural pathways in our brains that once they come to fruition will be very difficult to change, because eventually as we grow up, it's more like Play-Doh after the lid's been left off. Yes, there's neuroplasticity. We now know that we can regenerate brain cells and create neural pathways, new ones. However, it's like having little footpaths as we work to change, as opposed to having very deep trenches of the negative thinking, if that was the environment we were raised in. And I'm happy to tell you that, as I've mentioned in a previous video, I personally am experiencing the benefit of seeing new neural pathways created of positivity. But it does not come easy. I am committed to doing something that many people won't take the time to do. I spend 2 to 3 hours a day listening to positive messages from a speaker I deeply trust and respect, and have seen amazing results in my life as a consequence. So I encourage you to think strongly about those thought addictions. They are very pervasive, very powerful. Many people believe that depression and anxiety are just chemical imbalances, and the only thing that can fix those or manage those is medications. And I'm not saying medications don't have their place. However, there's a whole field of psychology called cognitive behavioral research-based psychology that demonstrates that just learning how to think more positively, think more realistically, can dramatically change your life. And this psychology has gone toe-to-toe with antidepressants in the research studies and have proven to actually have better, more long-lasting results for many people. I'm not saying every person. I do believe there are some people who are just in a chemically depressed state. I've seen it when I worked in the psychiatric hospital, so I am not against those kinds of medications. But I am just making the point, a lot of people don't realize they can be addicted to obsessive negative thinking. So I hope this has given you food for thought. I hope that you will examine your own belief systems, and if you find that you are being held back by pessimistic negative thinking that is very difficult to change no matter how hard you try, I encourage you to commit to listening to powerful speakers like Zig Ziglar, like Mel Robbins, like Tony Robbins, like so many others, Brian Tracy and others. And I hope these videos can be a support to you, because you are worth it. The people around you are worth it. They are counting on you. Even if they may not like to see the changes in you, they need you to change. It makes such a difference in the world. So please think about those issues. Again, Rachel Cipriano with Magnificent Resilience. Please like and share if this has been helpful to you, or if you know somebody struggling with depression, anxiety, or other types of addictions today. And also please subscribe to my YouTube channel. All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in my name and you'll see my channel. Thanks so much. I look forward to coming to you again.